Welcome to the Mind Games podcast. Today, we have one of the most impressive up-and-coming content creators in the rugby league world. You may have seen him on other networks such as Bloke in a Bar, and I really enjoyed this, the Leaguie. Enjoy. Alrighty, Dylan Jogru, or as you are better known, the Leaguie. Mate, welcome to the Mind Games podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. This is the pinnacle of my podcasting career, I consider it. So I'm very happy to be here.
Already throwing shade. Mate, how you're on the Bloke podcast this morning. How was that?
It was good. It was my debut on Packer Up Boys, their Friday show. A bit more comedy-based stuff, so a little more new to me, but lots of fun. Got to talk about the game last night, which was insane. It was good stuff.
Tell me about the game last night.
Mate, it was so I was out there, right, in Canberra.
For context, Bulldogs Raiders.
Yes, Bulldogs Raiders. I've never been that wet in my life. I went with a guy who's
that escalated.
I'll just pave over that. Went with a bloke who's from Scotland, right? They're used to their rainfall.
Yeah, right.
He goes, I've never been this wet in my life, mate. So that was, absolutely biblical levels. I saw a bloke on the other side of the stadium loading animals onto a boat 2x2. That's kind of what we're talking here with rainfall. So, I could see about half of the game. So I can't tell you how it went, but apparently it was a good finish. So
yeah, no, it was a good game. I think the friend of the show, Hudson, was outstanding. Friend of the show, Tommy, unfortunately got injured. I think they were pretty hard done by a few decisions, to be fair. Bit of a landslide penalty count, but
yep.
Hey, we go. You got to think that's going to happen when the Bulldogs are playing. Unfortunately, shout out Winston Neville, mate. Let's talk about your journey. Obviously, you've have quite a few cool opportunities are coming your way now. As I said, you're getting to experience the Bloke potty and be on there with Dannon and Guru and Timmy Williams and Tommy Yeager, who I think is the man. I love Tommy Yeager. He's outstanding. Their show, I'll give him a shout out actually. Ruin the 15th. That's my second favourite podcast outside the Mind Games podcast these days. So shout out. Mate, talk us through how you got involved in that. How did that happen?
Yeah, so, I mean, for a bit of backstory on it, I grew up with Bloke. I mean, even from the days where I was living in the Netherlands, I would use that as my way of staying up to date with footy. I just was absolutely obsessed with it. As far as I was concerned, Denon, Roo, Timmy, and Hammy were the Beatles, essentially, of rugby league podcasting. And so, I was about a year and a half into my content creator journey. I was just literally sitting in the common room of my dorm in Canberra playing Mario Kart. I get a notification on my phone that says, Bloke in a Bar, hey, mate, we've got some spaces open up in the next couple of weeks. You want to come in and have a go? And I thought it was a G-up. Absolutely. I thought someone's got the account name or whatever and is trying to prank me, but it was legit. And I couldn't believe it. You could not wipe the smile off my face. I FaceTimed everybody. People who'd never heard of rugby league before. I'm like, I'm going on Bloke in a Bar. So no, it still feels surreal. I mean, I've done it probably about 10 times now, and every time I get nervous, it's so special.
Mate, that's so cool. You mentioned quite a few things there. One thing I want to say is I want to say thank you for helping me out here. This is very grateful for that, and I love the way this industry is very much that abundance mindset. So everyone's looking to help each other. Everyone's looking to sort of all grow together, and I love the way everyone's really supportive in this area. So once again, very thankful for that. But let's talk about your journey. So born in Sydney?
Yes, yeah. So born in Sydney. My family moved to the Netherlands when I was 6 years old for my dad's work. Initially, it was only going to be for 1 year. 1 year turned into 2, then an additional 2, and in the end, it was 12 years in total. So from age 6 to age 18, my entire childhood, really.
And what's the Netherlands like?
Oh, it's a great place to live. I love it. In my mind, it's still pretty much home, to be honest. I mean, I speak Dutch fluently. I've been back a couple times, and just something about that homely feeling is special. But I use rugby league as my connection to Australia, essentially my way of staying linked to that culture and ensuring that, I had something to talk to my cousins back home about, essentially. And so that's pretty much how it fostered. But upon sort of reflection, given that none of my mates in school knew what rugby league was, they'd literally never heard of it, it is in some ways very much against the odds that I ended up being able to maintain that passion in the way that has translated through to today. Yeah,
cool. So then what brought you back to Australia?
So my dad was investigating a case for the UN that just wrapped up. His work finished and we had to move back. But it worked well for me. I just finished high school, ready to start uni in Australia. I might have moved back anyway, to be honest.
Had you already started creating content or no?
No. So I only started a couple of years ago with content. I've got a mate who is also a YouTuber He's been doing it for about a year more
Shout
than
him
I
out.
have. His name's Money Explained over on YouTube. Very good documentaries. Much bigger creator than me at the moment. But he basically, we'd just been on a trip together, and driving back from the airport, he's talking to me about my passion for rugby league and how he believed that I could turn it into a successful YouTube channel. And at the time, I was really dismissive of it. Like I shot him down pretty rudely, to be honest, in hindsight, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, I'm just a guy. I don't have any links to the game. I've never played it in my life. And there's already people like Guru out there who are doing their thing. I don't know if there's that space there, but the thought just kind of nagged at the back of my head. And I was about to go off on a trip by myself. I was in an airport, had a layover for about 4 hours. And I just thought, okay, to get this thought out of my head, if I were to do this content stuff, what would it look like? What would the colors be? What would the name be? And I came up, I wanted to have a name that was sort of like Rugby League Guru. I like the idea of The Fan, the Andrew Voss show. I wanted something like that. And as soon as I came up with the Leaguie, I thought, geez, I've got to do it now. That's a really good name. And the rest is history.
Yeah, nice. So how do you, like, while studying law in Canberra, I believe?
Yeah.
So you live on campus?
I do, yes.
So you just you essentially sit in your room and stream and create content in your dorm room?
Exactly that. Yeah, I've got, it's a pretty simple setup, to be honest. I mean, I've got some lights in the background that show up as green, which is good for the branding. But it's literally just me sitting at my desk, relying on the unstable uni internet to support the streams, which doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But we get there in the end, so that's what matters.
So the internet's no good at a uni where you need internet?
Yeah, no, it's subpar. We'll be here for another 2 hours if you get me complaining about the ANU's Wi-Fi. Luckily, the Ethernet's okay, so that kind of saves it. But I've had some rough times for sure.
Yeah, okay. Has there ever been like something that you couldn't upload that you were trying to because of it?
There's been times where, like, I've got, say, a 10-minute video. I'll finish it off, process it really quickly, upload it, and I'll think it will be ready in 10 minutes, and it will show 2 hours until, you know, upload completed, and I'll just be sitting there. And like, I've got a Discord server for my fans who do sort of hang on every upload, and they know when the next video is coming, and so my phone's just blowing up, but they're saying, where's the video? You promised it would be here. And I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. Blame the Australian National University if you want. It's not my fault. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Does so in terms of your content, can you give us an idea more? I'm a fan, so more so for the viewers of the show who don't know your content. What do you sort of do?
Yeah, so I'm primarily a YouTuber, which I think coming in was almost my point of difference. Like I mentioned earlier, comparisons to someone like Rugby League Guru, who is very much a podcaster, the more audio-based platforms. But I grew up watching soccer YouTubers, right? Being over in Europe, I had to learn about soccer in order to be in the social circles that the guys were in. And so I'd watch all these old YouTubers making little 10-minute, highly edited videos about the sport. It's happened a lot more with Formula One as well lately. There's a lot more people in that space. But I just identified really that no one was doing that in the NRL. And obviously it's a much smaller niche, but I thought that's the content that I've been raised on. I might be able to do that successfully. And so that's sort of what I do. These sort of 10-minute videos. Some of it's opinion-based, some of it...
It's more comedic, though, the opinions. They're not like... You're not just spraying a player.
No, of course. I very much try and keep it positive.
Yeah.
I feel that there's enough negative media out there. But every now and then I will do a bit of a deep dive. Like, for instance, while we're recording this, a video will go up on my channel, which is a mini documentary I made over the past few days about piracy in the NRL and comparing how it's really taken hold in other sports worldwide and what it might teach us about the next few years as illegal streams sort of are on the rise. So it's stuff like that. I do like the deep dives.
Yeah, okay. Can you touch a little bit on that?
Yeah, so it's not something, as I say, that has taken a stranglehold here yet, but as someone who is very much across the NRL's online presence, I've inadvertently ended up in, I think, 3 different Discord servers where every game is illegally streamed for free. It's not difficult to find people who stream the games. I do watch along live streams for most games, and every single stream I do, someone will come in and say, why aren't you showing the game? Which is kind of baffling to me because it's illegal to do that.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a good idea to live stream yourself committing crimes.
Especially as a lawyer.
Of course, yes. So yeah, but looking worldwide, I mean, I'll give you 2 examples. There was a fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury a few years ago, heavyweight title fight.
Which one? 1, 2, or 3?
I think the stats come from number 2, to my memory. Yeah. It generated, I think, 300,000 pay-per-view purchases in the US. Price was 75 USD. 2 million people in America alone illegally pirated it. 10 million worldwide illegally pirated it. So that's an insane amount of missed revenue for everyone involved in that fight. The other key example, the French soccer competition, League, they had a broadcasting deal with DAZN, who recently acquired Foxtel. So that's sort of the relevance to Australia. They had their broadcast rights withheld specifically because they hadn't done enough to combat piracy. And it became a whole legal case. Yeah, so now DAZN coming to Australia, broadcasting the NRL, it's something for us to at least keep an eye on as that sort of grows for us.
Yeah, interesting. The is that why like a lot of the fights and stuff are going towards like the Netflix route?
I think so. Yeah. It kind of looks like it because at least you can control that a little bit more. But I think looking at the stats, just off the top of my head, there would for that Fury versus Wilder fight, there were 200 illegal streams of it on YouTube alone, and YouTube's probably the place where you're most likely to get caught as well. So there would have been a lot more on other sites. So the numbers are pretty mind blowing, and it will hit us, I think, pretty soon. Yeah,
right. Wow. I wonder, so with that, like as we sort of touched on, you studying law, is there much crossover in terms of what you're studying to what you're doing, or is there much like you're learning in your day-to-day at uni that you can implement? Or
I think so. I mean, we talk about having a point of difference in the space.
Because to be fair, like law isn't like, how do I explain this? Like becoming a lawyer, you actually need to learn the ins and outs of businesses. You need to learn the ins and outs. There's a lot of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say?
100%. Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of other stuff that it's not just a lawyer is like a top line thing. Yeah. It's actually very layered in terms of what a lawyer is.
Yeah, you have to have that understanding. And I'm not qualified to give legal advice, so I'll make sure not to do that in my content. But say recently the whole Zach Lomax drama, which was the main talking point for about a month.
Yeah.
I spoke a lot about that because I understand contract law, I understand corporations law, how all that interacts with each other. And I was able to use that as my point of difference on that case and shed light that, with all due respect to most NRL journos, they wouldn't be equipped to do.
Absolutely.
So it's that kind of thing where I sort of identify those opportunities to use it where I can. But obviously just subconsciously and generally it shapes my worldview. And so then my view on whatever issue comes up in the NRL. So yeah, I'd say it definitely has its impact.
Can you shed a little bit of light on it now in a sense of like, were you shocked when it kind of got like the 2 years got like thrown at him?
I was surprised. Look, I think the key thing that would have been very interesting is if he would have ended up at Melbourne, that would have created an absolute legal hellhole for everyone involved in terms of the contract law. But there was this very interesting
why would it?
So yeah, there was an interesting sort of setup, right, where Lomax was saying that the exit clause of his Parramatta contract was invalid. And so therefore he wasn't bound by the terms to it and was free to sign with Melbourne if he wanted. The key thing that wasn't reported in the media was the additional logical step that if his exit clause wasn't valid, he was actually technically still a Parramatta player, therefore leaving Parramatta in an even more powerful negotiating position than they were in before. And I think probably behind the scenes, that's likely why Melbourne didn't end up with him, because either way you looked at it, Parramatta had the much, much stronger position. So that's why he had to sign with Rugby Union, because that's the only way he could continue to play on in a rugby code.
Yeah, okay. So was your, without knowing additional context, like was your point of view that Parramatta, one, probably didn't want him, and two, probably couldn't afford him because they'd bought other players?
I mean, I'm not sure about not being able to afford him, but in terms of not wanting him, yes, certainly after that release, they would have legally been able to keep him had they wanted to. There would have been no problem with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So with like, I guess with content, well, just thank you for like giving us a little bit of an understanding on that. But with content creation, so I take it the law degree, as you said, it's a 5-year degree, I believe. Is that right? Yes. 5-year degree takes a lot of discipline and motivation to sort of build that. Do you find there's a lot of correlation with content creation with there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to work hard if you want to do a law degree, and I think you have to work hard as well if you want to make it as a content creator. In terms of balancing those two priorities, sometimes that can be a bit tricky. But I mean, look, I was saying this just before we got off air. So yeah, I was at Canberra Stadium last night, got back at about 11:30 p.m., but I'd committed to releasing this mini documentary today. So I was up till about 3:30 a.m. last night editing, and that's just sort of what you have to do. You know, if you want to get a video out, sometimes you've got to put in those shifts. So I'm very sleep deprived at the moment. If I'm not making sense, that's why.
No, you're on fire.
But yeah, it's not as simple. You know, like I think probably the main thing I learned doing content is how time consuming it really is. When you look at a 10-minute video, I think the normal person would think, okay, that maybe only took a couple of hours to make. But to edit a minute of my footage can sometimes take up to half an hour to an hour, depending on how intensely I do it. So it really is a massive time commitment. That's the tricky thing.
Yeah, nice. And then what about the consistency piece?
Yeah, well, if you ask my viewers, I'm not very consistent. I don't have the upload schedule exactly. I just make videos when I can, really.
Okay.
I will say, so what I do with consistency is I do watch along live streams of every game I can. Pretty much if I'm not attending the game, I'll be doing a live stream of it. And that's how I get that consistent engagement with the fans and build up that relationship that I think is difficult to do outside of live formats.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
So when you first started doing that, like, do you remember like seeing like 3 people in there
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that?
Oh, God, yeah. I remember the 3 users.
Yeah, okay.
One of them is still around,
Yeah.
which is always nice. He reminds me of that. But yeah, it was, I actually went back the other day and watched my first live stream, and it was painful. Like the lack of charisma.
Yeah.
There was no animations on the screen. Like now it's like, it does look very professional. I'm very proud of it, but we've come a long way, let's just say, in the last year with the live stream. So
We'll have to link up and do one day.
yes, I'd be very happy to. Absolutely. So yeah, that's been a growth area that I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah, cool. So how, like, just out of interest, how many like concurring viewers are you having at the moment?
Well, I do it on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
It varies. I'd say at any one time I'd average between 50 to 70 concurrent viewers.
It's crazy, hey?
It's amazing that anyone would care to watch me watch a rugby league game. But apparently people are interested in that. So hey, you know, I'll provide the content as long as they do it.
Mate, that's so good.
And some people will come in and donate like massive amounts of money. Like a dude came in a few weeks ago and just gave me $150 for it. And I didn't even know what to say in that moment. Like how many thanks can I give that make up for $150? But people like the content.
Right.
So I think a younger generation just love that live format. So many of the biggest creators in the world
for sure.
are live content creators. So that's something I'm very much looking to tap into in the NRL space.
Yeah, nice. And like those guys, the biggest guys, like Kai Cenat and stuff, they're like already evolving out of it because they're some of the biggest superstars on the planet, like iShow Speed.
Yeah.
And iShow Speed's eye to, like, he went, like, the most famous people in the world, probably, like, arguably, Cristiano Ronaldo and Virat Kohli.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the 2 people that he built his career, like, wearing their jerseys and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, he wore Warriors jersey as well. That was pretty big for him. Yeah.
So
I think that really made him take off from that point.
Are the Wise a chance this year?
They've looked very good. I predicted them in 11th, which I am not happy with anymore.
I didn't know Stacey Jones was going to play halfback for him all week.
Mate, Tanner Boyd, holy, has been good. It's been outrageous. Where's that come from?
Unbelievable.
It's been amazing. But no, look, I mean, early in the season, but all the signs are there. They've looked amazing.
Yeah, nice. The reason I asked the consistency piece is we've gone, this will be 28 straight Sundays we've posted for the Mind Games. So you could argue that's reasonably consistent. It's a bit over 6 months.
Wow.
So hopefully we can keep that up. We're starting to get a few in the bank too. So hopefully we're definitely going to get at least 30 or 35 without taking a break, which is, I guess that's been the biggest piece for us is like that consistency piece. And then now we're starting to see a little bit of momentum, which is cool.
Well, when people know what to expect from you and when to expect it, they incorporate you as part of their routines. And that, like, once you've got that in a fan, you're good. Like, that's so valuable.
Do you find, you just mentioned how if you haven't posted something, you're getting like messages from people and stuff like that. Is that motivation? You don't want to let them down or
Yeah, I mean, it is. In terms of my motivations, I'm just a very process-driven person.
Yeah.
Like I was doing some thinking before coming on here about what sort of my goals for content were, and I don't really care about the outcomes because I feel that you can't control what opportunities present themselves to you. Like say Bloke. Like I absolutely had a goal to one day end up on the Bloke in a Bar podcast, and I put myself in a position to earn that opportunity, but there's 10 other content creators who've been doing it longer than me who also put in the work for that opportunity. I just got lucky to be the guy in that position. So what I care about in terms of motivation is for me to be able to say truly that I did everything I could to get that video out on time. If it doesn't come out in time,
you can't.
That's fine. You know, it is what it is. But as long as I can honestly say to myself that I put in that effort, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, cool. Talk us through like the imposter syndrome part of it.
Oh, it's been heavy, especially early on. Like, because I had no connections in rugby league at all, at least not in the NRL space.
Wait, so you just literally started streaming just
yeah, my first ever videos were season prediction videos for each team, and what really caused my career to take off was they made a decision a few years ago to reduce the number of teams in the World Cup from 16 to 10. And my experience with the Netherlands Rugby League, which I think we'll get into later.
I talk about it now.
Yeah, sure. So I was lived over there for 12 years. They had this little competition of 3 men's teams, and really half the games were cancelled, every now and then. This is back in 2016. Me and my dad saw an ad on Facebook for a day to train to be a rugby league referee. And we were like, yep, this will be a fun little day out, Father Sunday. We go out, do it. We were the only Aussies there, which was nice. They really value Australian accents in rugby league. It's an authority thing.
Yeah.
But I was, I think, 11 years old at the time. And we finished the course. We were like, okay, happy days. See you all later. And they were like, okay, well, when are you starting refereeing? And we're like, okay, I guess we're doing it. And we did it for, I think it was 5 or 6 years at least, just refereeing. I was the best touch judge in the country. I'll happily say that. There was actually one year during COVID where Netherlands played against Germany. Me and my dad were the 2 linesmen, and it was the only international game that year. So we officiated the only international game of rugby league.
How good's that?
Crazy. Yeah, so it was a really special experience, but you see the amount of people putting in volunteer hours, absolutely thanklessly. So many Australian fans don't even know that rugby league exists over there. But these people are sacrificing so much of their time and energy for no financial return whatsoever, purely just to grow the sport in a country that doesn't know or care about it. And so when I then see the higher-ups of the ARLC make a decision to essentially take the carrot of World Cup qualification away from them, it made me really emotional, to be honest. I got very angry. I made 3 videos about it. And that was actually my first video on that topic was the first video that Denon saw of mine. I remember he mentioned it on one of his podcasts, and he couldn't remember the name of my channel. Oh. He said it was like the Leaguie, rugby Leaguie, and I was devastated but so excited. That Denon knows who I am. But so yeah, that really caused it to take off, and it's really just been strength to strength from there.
You know what I love about what you sort of just explained, and I don't even reckon you realize this yet. You spoke about how these guys are building a game and volunteering their time, effort, and money into something that there's what they want to achieve out of it isn't reachable. Like they can't see what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's a direct correlation with your content. You started that and you were like, oh, like no one's ever going to watch me doing this. I'm going to make a YouTube channel or whatever. I'm going to start live streaming, whatever you were doing. Realistically, you were like, I wanted to get Bloke in a bar, but that's not achievable. I can't see that.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. Yeah, there's parallels there.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Well, and thankfully, the Netherlands Rugby League has grown just as much as I have. They've now got a competition that's twice the size, 6 teams. They've got sponsors, full kits, women's stuff, doing stuff in schools. So I went to an international school, and they started a partnership with that school the year after I left. I was so devastated. But they literally play international games at my old school now, which is, wow. I wig out every time I see those images.
How good's that?
It's special. But
are they going to come out and play any games in Australia anytime soon?
I don't think so. Look, they were ranked number 11 in the world when the decision to reduce from 16 to 10 happened.
That's a stitch up.
Yeah, they may well have made qualification for the World Cup. Who knows? They realistically weren't the 11th strongest national side, but a lot of the rankings are about grassroots development and stuff. Okay. They were in a good position. There would have been at least a chance. Yeah. And their women's did play qualifiers. So,
is there any NRL players that could play for the Netherlands?
Yeah, there's a few. Pappenhausen was the high profile one. He used to often DM. So there's a team called the Amsterdam Cobras, and he would DM the players from the Cobras and wish them good luck and stuff.
How good's that?
He expressed an interest in playing for the Netherlands, but unfortunately the Storm were never going to allow that.
Really?
Yeah, just because of the injuries, like the risk. It's park footy, essentially.
Okay.
So the risk was too high. But yeah, there's him. There's Cody Nicarima and his brother Jaden, also eligible.
Jaden Nicarima is one of my mates.
There we go. Yeah, well, he's got Dutch ancestry.
You know where me and Jaden have spent quite a bit of time together back in 2016, 2017.
Where was that?
He played for the Roosters at that point in time. I lived locally, and we became mates one night out and didn't leave each other's side for about 12 months.
Wow, nice. Yeah, so
Jay Nix is my boy.
He's Dutch eligible. There's then Jalen de Groot from the Titans as well.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I think that there's and Orblex Talfa, the new Broncos signing.
Yeah, right.
He's played rugby union for the Netherlands. He went over and played there.
Wow.
So there's a few of them. There's a heap of ancestry in the NRL. Like we could have a really strong World Cup.
How far down the line can you play for that country?
I think you need to have a grandmother or grandfather who's from that nation.
Wow, Jaden's from
From my research, yes.
You're right.
He might prove me wrong, but there's evidence out there at least that he's eligible.
We're clipping this up and I'm tagging Jaden.
Okay.
So I want to know.
Well, see, I hope I'm correct because I've boldly made the claim many times that he's eligible.
Because if not, Jaden, why aren't you playing for the Netherlands?
Yes,
Sort it out. Sort it out. Mate, love that. So are you working another job as well? Or
no, just, I mean, on top of uni and YouTube, I couldn't really fit in much time for much else.
Thought so. So I was going to say the touch judging's gone to the
side.
And
there's a world where once I moved back to Australia, I'd really pursued that. I loved refereeing. Like there was some of the best times I've ever had. It was hilarious starting out as a 12-year-old because there were only men's games. So you got like blokes that are taking this very seriously and this little 12-year-old running up and down the touchline. But I was decent at it. And as I said, being an Australian gave you an air of authority there.
So do you think you learned... so obviously we touched on earlier how with law, it's not just... It's very layered. You need to also have some people skills. Mm-hmm. Do you think being a touch judge at 12 years old, so 12 to say 16, 18, whatever... and interacting with adults and stuff like that. Do you reckon that's helped you a little bit with your career going forward?
Yeah, just in terms of communicating principles and like the rules and stuff, there was a lot of that. A lot of players would be rugby union players just in their off season, want to play something, and often they wouldn't know or understand the rules. So I'd come in and explain why I made a particular decision. But there was like, I mean, I did my first international game when I was 13 as a touch judge. Which might be a record. I've never actually got that checked. If there's been a younger men's international touch judge,
how good is that?
Might hold it. Who knows? But so that's guys who were flying in from overseas who don't know me and who were seeing this kid on the touchline. So I needed to earn their respect. So that communication was really, really important for that role. And yeah, I mean, I've never really thought about it, but maybe it does have its role.
Love that. I love all the direct correlation. So how this kind of started was. A little bit of a passion project, but what I really wanted to understand is like the lessons and mindset that we learn from sport that we then implement in the chosen business field that we kind of go into. And there's so many different things that, like for example, Hudson Young, I know this is an extreme example, but he sort of spoke about when he has things that he has to do in business, it's tough. He goes, this isn't hard. I've played State of Origin. So like just that perception and different things like that. But it's also really understanding the different correlations. So as you sort of said, you're being a touch judge when you're 12 years old. You were communicating with adults, you were whatever, and then now that's helped you implementing that into your future life in business and in things like that as well. And like for myself, like I played, would have been 13, I think, when I started playing grade cricket. It was only on the Central Coast, and then like I went to Sydney a little bit later, but like I reckon that's definitely helped me like in the business world and different things where I can literally connect and communicate with all different sorts of people because I'm sitting in a change room with 10 adults and I'm a 13-year-old kid sitting there having conversations with them and different things. Yes, you pick up a lot of bad habits because you see them swearing, you see them smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, whatever, like all these stuff that's probably on the negative side of it. So it does go hand in hand, but I do think there are definitely some lessons you can take from that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and now that you mention it, I mean, in my content space, like I started when I was 21 years old, right? So not a kid, but young compared to at least the established guys in the NRL space. And I am cursed with a bit of a baby face. I know that. So like my first episode on Bloke, the comments were filled.
Not cursed.
Well, yeah, is what it is. But the comments were filled with people saying, oh, Leaguie got the day off school for this one. Like I know that I'm a young person in that sense.
It's the weekend. That's why he's here.
Yes. Yes. Luckily, I was given the weekends off. But yeah, look, it's I've used that a little bit as part of my branding because I think I mean I'm not out to dethrone anyone in the NRL space, definitely. But
that's not what you were saying off air.
Well,
said you were coming for Bloke's
I thought
Empire.
that was between us, but all right. But you look at the creators coming through. Like I'm same age as Isaac Issa. I'm the same age as Winston
Neville. Friend of the show.
Yes. I feel like we're very much, you know, the next generation coming through at the moment, and I'm using that for sure as part of my branding. I've got a very young audience, and I enjoy talking about topics on my channel that are maybe a little bit controversial, but where I can change their minds on particular things, like say the international game, where a lot of them will pretty much just care about watching their NRL side on the weekend. But I'll say, no, it's actually really important for you to tune into the All-Stars game. That's a massively marketable thing for us internationally. All this stuff, or the NRLW, for instance, where I talk about the value that brings to the game. I enjoy...
Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, sure.
So, well, I guess from your point of view, like what sort of stuff do you talk about?
Well, I feel that for the longest time, the NRL has tried to attract female fans in a number of different ways, but ignored the one obvious thing, which is get female athletes out there and give them something to aim for, to achieve. I've loved the growth of the NRLW. I've never missed a game that the NRLW Roosters have played.
Glory hog.
Oh,
Glory Hunter.
I'm a Roosters fan. I'm a Roosters fan. No, when we lost the grand final last year, I was there. Mele Hufunga's try right at the end, I was broken, absolutely devastated. I've never been that sad at a game.
Who's your favourite player?
I like Jocelyn Kelleher, our halfback. But yeah, I do love most of the Roosters girls.
Doesn't she play hooker? Isn't Taryn Aiken the halfback?
Aiken sometimes plays 7 and Kelleher 6. Hooker is Keely Davis.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, Taryn Aiken, I think, is probably the best women's player in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think she comes up with unreal stuff. But that's actually something as well where, like, I've made a couple of videos on the NRLW and had female fans and female content creators reach out to me and just talk about how good it is that a male content creator is discussing the NRLW and lending support to that. I won't name names, but the one sort of beef I've ever got into in my career was over the NRLW. I came out and had a go at some bigger creators who were having a go at some of the NRLW players. And actually, Kennedy Charrington watched that reel and got in touch with me about it. She now, like, we have some messages back and forth, which is really good.
I might need to get that contact Kennedy. I'd love to have you on here.
Yeah. No, she'd be great on here. She's such a personality. She's really good. But it was just the exact same thing of, like, a male creator with a 95% male audience talking about the women's game, putting it up there. Because if you're a rugby league fan, it's entertaining rugby league. There's no reason why you wouldn't like it.
100%.
In my opinion, so.
100%. And the skill level has, like, every year probably doubled. Like, just compounding every year. It's got so much. It's like, not that it was bad to start with, but it's got so good. Like, the skill set and the athleticism that some of those athletes have now in NRLW is insane. Like, Jamie Chapman doing backflips and, like, just think, like, some of the stuff they pull. Like Isabel Kelly, she's a freak.
Yep.
Absolute freak.
And they're still semi-pro.
Like, some of them are.
Some of them, but when they...
Not the Roosters, they're paper bags.
When they go fully professional, I think we're going to see the competition just take off.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really exciting. And you see now the pathways being available for people coming through all the way up to the NRLW. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is with that too, you can't just... It does need to continue to grow at the rate it's growing. It can't just, like, go, all right, we've got 18, 17 teams and you're all getting paid 150 grand a year. It just wouldn't work because you're not developing the enough quality players for one to be safe, to be fair. Because imagine me going and playing as Payne Arse. That's kind of maybe not. I'm a bad example, but like someone who's playing park footy or hasn't really played footy, like, so a woman, right, 18-year-old might have played a bit of touch growing up or whatever, and then is reasonably skilled, but coming in and then playing up against like Kezi Apps or someone like that, it's not safe. Yeah. So, like, there's not enough at that high level. Like, the high level ones are incredible, but you do need to walk before you can run to get to that point. It's like the same with anything, like the Netherlands Rugby League, like content, like this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, if I essentially had Volkanovski, Cleary, Pat Cummins, Ben Simmons tomorrow, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you do need to walk before you can run.
Yeah. Well,
so stay tuned. Those four will be on it.
Now that you've got me on here, they'll all follow. No,
yeah.
But that's what I mean when I say, like, the NRLW is in its infancy. Still, a lot of the criticisms that people want to launch at it for whatever reason are explained by the fact that it's such a new competition. They're ironing out those kinks. I think it's got so much potential, though.
100%. Yeah. What's your take on the ball? You know, there's chat about it making it smaller.
It's been around for a while. I mean, all the NRLW players I've heard talk about it are in favor of it. There might be some dissenting opinions I haven't heard, but it seems pretty logical to me, right? That, you know, when you look at, say, Taryn Aiken, who we mentioned before, she's a very little player. when she holds the ball, it looks absolutely massive in her hands. It just seems a bit ridiculous. But I think if they do make it smaller, that attacking footy would really thrive.
Yeah, love it. Mate, talk us through like thinking long term. So with content, it's a short-term dopamine hit. You post something, you see a bunch of likes, see a bunch of comments, whatever, a bunch of views, which is kind of the main currency. But you see that, makes you feel good. You go, oh, like I'm the man. How good's this? How do you sort of separate that and still look at the long-term picture?
Well, this is the tricky thing for me because I sort of don't. We spoke earlier about goals, and as I say, I struggle to think of specific tangible things that I want to achieve in my career. The only one I've really had was to be on Bloke. And I do often wonder, like, because that came for me before I'd even done content for 2 years, right? So it was very, very quickly. And I often think, given that was my one big goal, was it maybe a detriment that it came that early? I don't know, but
that's sort of pretty much what I was talking about earlier, right? Like,
we'll see in the fullness of time, I suppose.
Yeah.
But my only other one, I guess, for this year, because I've had a thought about where to go next, I really want to position myself as the international rugby league guy before the World Cup at the end of the year.
Love it.
I'd love to be involved with the broadcasting of the World Cup somehow, whether it be via TV, social media, whatever, because that's my passion. I describe myself as an international rugby league extremist, where I don't know if you saw on Bloke when the Ashes were on, I was going for England. Yeah, and I was torn apart by everyone else on that platform. I still get DMs about being a traitor and stuff.
Why?
Because the Kangaroos winning does nothing for rugby league and nothing in Australia. Like, we care about the NRL.
No one cared about that.
Yeah, exactly. But if England had won the series or even won one game, it actually has a tangible impact over there. We see something happen. We see the game of rugby league win. So it's not that I like England at all. I'd happily see them lose to anyone else, but I just want rugby league to win.
I wonder, could we do a live stream in here? We might have to do one for the World Cup.
Absolutely. I'll be all over it. Like, that's the competition I look forward to the most out of anything. I'd happily watch a Rugby League World Cup over an NRL season. That's the extent to which I believe in the international game.
I love it. That'll be good fun. We'll have to link up for that for sure. I'll chat to the boys, see if we can get it sorted. Mate, what are your interests outside of, I guess, actually, no, before I ask that, where in 5 years, are you a lawyer? Are you in business? Are you a content creator? Are you a YouTuber? Are you taking over Denon's empire?
Hopefully taking over Denon's empire. Okay. I'd be a very wealthy man if that's the case. I think hopefully, I mean, I hope my dad's not listening to this when I say YouTuber, because he won't be very happy about that. But so this is a very key year for me in terms of my own growth. It's my last year of uni. I have to get a real grown-up job after this. I'll try and balance YouTube with that. We'll see how it goes. But growing up, even if it wasn't specifically like doing sports stuff, I loved the idea of being a YouTuber. I wanted to be one of the sidemen. I wanted to be friends with KSI. Like, that's all that it was for me.
So you're a big Sidemen Sunday guy?
Back in the day,
and
for
then
sure.
So Mind Games took over that.
Yeah, naturally. Of course it did. Yeah, it takes up all my time now. I even rewatch the episodes because I can't get enough of them.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, KSI.
But no, so I love the idea of YouTube. So if I'm able to make a career out of that or content creation in general, that's the dream. But if, I mentioned earlier with broadcasting and something like the World Cup, if I'm able to balance that with, say, a job at one of the broadcasters or in a media organization, I mean, there's no better job in the world than talking about rugby league, right? So 100%. Love to do that.
Imagine you get on a Sidemen hide and seek in Australia.
The Leaguie.
The Leaguie. Or a Sidemen charity match or something.
Oh, I've done Sports Shed. I don't know if
you've already gone A grade. You don't go to B grade.
You probably couldn't afford me, to be honest.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Mate, with that, so I guess with what I was asking earlier, what are your interests outside of, say, rugby league, law, and content creation?
There aren't many.
Okay.
No, I mean, look.
Do you like other sports?
I love Formula One.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely love Formula One.
Who do you support?
Ferrari mostly. Obviously a bit of an Oscar Piastri fan.
Yeah.
Have to be. But thankfully, it is one of those sports where you can kind of just watch it as a neutral and sort of wish everyone well. I I'd almost watch a Formula One race over a rugby league game purely because of the scarcity of it. Because it's once every couple of weeks. We have 8 a week in the NRL. Rugby league's a better sport. Don't get me wrong, but I do love Formula One.
Yeah, okay.
A lot.
Have you been?
Yes, I've been to Melbourne. Not this year, but the 3 years before that.
Yeah, wow.
Which was like incredible. The atmosphere, you know, in that city on race weekends, astounding.
They've done a really good job, like the tapping into that. Once again, it's content creation, but like the Netflix side of it, which has captivated the world really, like the exponential growth that F1 has taken since that has sort of launched is insane. And like you can see other sports are starting to tap into that now, which is really cool. But it's really showing the power of that like content first kind of mindset and then build things off the back of it. Like I think that's definitely the way of the world, and Walt Disney figured that out first.
Yes, well, it's
storytelling.
It's about the narratives and even the clippable moments in modern day social media, and that's something where I really think the NRL has a lot of potential in the highlights that we could put up. Obviously, you know, in terms of content creators being allowed to use footage, that's a whole other debate. But you see sports like the NBA allow that. And there's so much, you know, media that gets generated off the back of that.
So from a law perspective, I know you touched on it a little bit earlier. What's your take on, from obviously a biased content creator?
Yeah.
But do you talk us through, like, do you understand, like, you obviously understand why?
Yeah, 100%. I do. Look, there's so much investment that goes into producing a broadcast of rugby league. And I think it's very reasonable that we shouldn't be allowed to just take that and repost it. The key thing for me is about fair use, which is a very vaguely defined principle anyway. So that's an area of law that needs a lot of development. But like say last year I made a video about Gemmet Shibasaki, right? And he's just rise
Another
last
friend
season.
of the pod.
Yes, well, there we go. Nice. So I obviously wanted to include a couple of clips from him playing in the grand final in that documentary to show his story. Now, that is not a substitute for watching the grand final, right? Which is what fair use should sort of be defined by. Absolutely. But that entire video was demonetized purely because I used those 2 little, like, 5-second clips.
Wow.
Which I was happy to wear because I wanted to make the video and I thought it had international potential because of how good the story was. But I do think, from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, and granted I'm hearing this sort of through Chinese whispers, but the NRL are aware of it, and next broadcast cycle, we're going to have more of a say in terms of the ability to use content, which could be really powerful for us in terms of social media.
Yeah, right. Who do you think it'll sign with?
I still think it will probably be the same broadcasters, but they'll have to make some concessions around the use of clips on social media. I'm hearing this just through people, so I don't know exactly. But they're keeping us more in mind. The NRL are aware of the incredible content creators out there who are willing to do hours of work giving the NRL free promo.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know,
right.
they know that they'd be a bit silly to waste that.
Absolutely. Well, I think you got to look at, like, obviously there's a direct correlation with the team starting to do well in the last 2 seasons, but like the amount of eyes on the Bulldogs, you can call them bandwagon fans, which they are, but like the work that people like Winston, Fred and stuff like that have done over the last few years to build that and build the hype around the club is, you look at, like, you know, how many fans there are going to games and stuff now, like it's insane. So they really build the hype around it. The free promo, as you said. Yeah,
the club's embracing the content creators. We saw that a lot this preseason. It's great because that's really a bridge between the club and the fans. You know, you've got a guy or a girl who was a fan of the club who's then invited to do something official. It's so validating for us as content creators. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've never been invited by the Roosters to do anything, but the day I do will be the highlight of my career. I'd clean dunnies for that club if they asked me to. So, yeah, that hopefully will be an opportunity that presents itself.
How did the supporting the Roosters come about?
So it's all through my dad. He emigrated from Mauritius to Australia back in the 70s. And it was the 1975 grand final. He was living in St. George Territory. And purely just to be different to all of his mates, he decided, I'm going to go for East instead of St. George in this grand final. And he stayed true to that for the last 50 years. So, yeah, I was his firstborn son. I was never going to be anything other than a Roosters fan. All my baby photos are in Roosters gear. And actually, I was born, I think it was 4 days after the 2002 grand final, which the Roosters won. And I was overdue. So my dad had this decision that's like the craziest hypothetical almost, but it was real, of your team's playing in a grand final. You haven't seen them win in so long, but your son is overdue. What do you do? Do you go to the game or not?
Did he
so,
go?
yeah, he bought my mum a mobile phone, said, call me if your water breaks.
Yeah, wow.
Went off to the game.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite ever player?
I mean, at the moment, I love Connor Watson for sure. But all time,
Yeah, right.
I love Anthony Minicello back in the day.
Okay.
Like,
So Connor's your favourite current player?
absolutely, Connor's my favorite current player. I love Connor Watson at the moment. Yeah.
We can organise that.
Yeah, cool.
That's no dramas. That's no dramas. I want to hear the League's point of view. I want to know who's your biggest improving team this year?
So far?
No. End of the year. Give me a
End of the
prediction.
year. That's a toughie. I mean, I hope it's us, given that we finished 8th last season. I think we've definitely got top 4 potential.
Yeah.
But I've liked the look of the West Tigers so far. I mean, I know it's only been one game. I don't think that they'll be, right up the top of the ladder, but if there's a year they're going to make finals, I think there's a good chance. Could be them.
Love it. Who's your biggest fall-off team?
Broncos haven't started particularly well, but my tip for the spoon was Manly, and I'm pretty comfortable with that call at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they haven't got the weakest roster in the competition, but it's just not really working out under the coaching of Anthony Seibold at the moment. So go with them.
Who's going to win the comp? Oh, who's going to win minor premiership?
Minor premiership, I think, will be Penrith.
Who's going to win the comp?
It'll be a Panthers-Roosters grand final, and Roosters will win. Easy. No question about it. 40-0.
I actually predicted that last year, 7th versus 8th on the buy round
Wow.
podcast. I was
go.
like 7v8 will be the grand final, and they all sprayed me, and I was wrong. Talk me through the game tonight. We're going.
Yep.
What's your prediction?
Look, I'm not overly optimistic of a win. I was very impressed by the Roosters' performance last week against visiting team. That was good stuff.
Give me your take on that.
Oh, well, see, in my own live stream, I didn't know the club were going to do this, but I always have a scoreboard at the bottom, right? And on one side, I had the Roosters logo, and on the other side, I had the word opposition. So I did the exact same thing as the club. I don't know if they copied me, but no, they definitely
I reckon they did. Big Leaguie fans.
But no, I mean, I've been outspoken about it. I think it's outrageous that South's kicked up a stink about that. And I said in a bit of content the other day that all the headlines this week should have been about Alex Johnston, his record, his statue outside of Heffron Park. And instead, it was taken up by their chairman having a whinge, which I think is a bit disgraceful personally.
Yeah.
But is what it is.
Just another entry to the book of feuds, though.
Yes, it is. But on the note of the game tonight, like I'm not expecting a win, but I want us to show that we're competitive with Penrith. In years gone by, we've played you guys and been on the back of some pretty dominant shellackings.
Not last year.
No, not last year. That's true. That was a fun game.
Are you keen to see Robbo make his debut tonight?
I am, absolutely. Back earlier than I expected.
Yeah.
That spine of Tedesco, DC, Walker, and Robson, even if you add Watson then in at 13 potentially,
It's elite.
you couldn't ask for anything better. Like if they're all humming. Well,
You'd ask for Edwards, Cleary, Talangi.
I don't know.
Yo,
I'd take Teddy
Mitch
over
Kenny.
Edwards any day of the week.
Oh, now. Then that's it, boys. Oh, it's funny.
We can say the 2 best spines in the comp. Maybe Storm as well, actually. 3 best spines. In the comp.
Yeah, I'd say 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely 3. All good. Who's going to win Daly M?
Surely Nathan Cleary's due. Right? So. I mean, I think the Dally M voting system is outrageously bad.
Yep.
He's been the best player in the world for such a long time. He really deserves one.
Yeah, agree. What is your take on... okay, this is a 2-part question. He obviously did a high shot in this trial game. If he took the 2 weeks early guilty plea, he would have not been eligible for the Daily M. So 1, your thoughts on that. 2, not getting a lawyer and having your dad represent you after his dad had been to the judiciary 4 times already and not won ever. And then sort of, I get that. That's probably the 2 parts.
Well, I'll start on part 2 there.
Yeah.
Would not legally advise using your dad as legal counsel, mostly because that threatens my future employment opportunities. So definitely don't do that. But look, on the note of the ineligibility, it's so stupid to me. Look, I know that technically it's called the best and fairest. None of us ever call it the best and fairest,
Correct.
though. And in my opinion, if you miss game time through suspension and still get enough points to win that award, you only deserve it more.
Yeah.
So to take it away from him would have been absolutely absurd, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair. Mate, very grateful for this. This has been awesome. I've really loved picking your brain. Really loved just chatting about it, and I really appreciate you giving me a shout out on Bloke earlier.
That's all right. No dramas.
Mate, 3 quick questions.
Yep.
16-year-old self walk through the door. What would you tell him?
I'm not just saying this because Denon might be listening, but I honestly would say you're going to be on Bloke in a bar one day. And like that would be mind blowing to my 16-year-old self. It still is to my 23-year-old self.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah. What's your go-to cheat meal?
So there's a sushi place right near where I live in Canberra, which always in their last hour of being open every day, they do 4 rolls.
Is it called Me Sushi?
It's not. It's called Hero Sushi. Me Sushi is good though. I've tried it.
Is that the one at Braddon? It used to be Braddon. Now it's just at the uni.
Yes, it's near the uni. It's right on the corner.
That's that Me Sushi. Oh,
it is
I
good.
used to love that place.
But yeah, the one I go to, they do 4 rolls for $10 at the end of the day. So there's been so many times where like I've been up late editing. I don't really have time to cook, and I'll just pop down there. $10. That's my dinner sorted. It's beautiful. So definitely that.
Nice. Do you play any golf?
I do not. No.
Okay, let's do this as a lunch instead of golf. So.
Okay.
3 people dead or alive you want to sit there and have a 4-hour lunch with?
See, so I have listened to a couple of episodes of this podcast in preparation, so I knew this question was coming.
What do you mean you listen to all of them, don't you?
Of course, sorry,
Yeah.
of course. And I've been tossing and turning about this for a while. A lot of people would assume, because I'm a rugby league fan, I'm going to go with athletes, but my second greatest passion in life is music. I love music. I listen to hours and hours every single day.
Yeah, nice.
And like old music, like the Beatles and stuff.
Yeah.
So 2 that are easy for me to pick are Paul McCartney from the Beatles, and I'm a big Oasis fan as well, so I'd go with Noel Gallagher from Oasis.
Not Liam?
No, I'm more of a Noel enthusiast.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
Noel has the talent. Liam can sing for sure, and he's fun, but I like Noel. I like Noel.
Love it.
But so
Did you go to Oasis?
I did.
Last year?
I went here, and I flew over to London to see them at Wembley.
Yeah, right.
I was on the front row on the barrier both times.
Wow, how good's that?
Incredible.
Yeah, I saw him at Homebush.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Liam that night. I was just like, you're the coolest bloke I've ever seen in my life.
His command of crowds is
He's
incredible.
got aura.
Yeah. I look through Instagram, before going to bed, and I see clips from those concerts, and literally I get goosebumps still. And like I get emotional. Words can't describe how much it meant to me that they got back together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my clear top 2. The third is really difficult to pick, but I'm a big Billy Joel fan.
Okay.
Piano Man's my go-to karaoke song, so I'd probably go with him. But omitting someone like say John Lennon or Elton John, that's really tough for me to do.
Mate, love it. As I said, mate, very grateful for this. Very grateful for your support with this. Very grateful for your abundance mindset in helping each other out. And, mate, we're definitely going to link up and do some stuff in the future.
Absolutely.
So, to Leaguie, everybody. Thanks,
Perfect. Thank you.